Like as
It
an
is
adult, like you hit like
logical.
yeah, you hit your limit though with that, I feel like. And you're just like, I really want to
Very quickly.
be like respectful and like answer your questions, but I've hit my limit,
But I'm
and it's like,
done. I'm
because one
done.
question like goes to another question because then she's thinking about that answer and then she's like, well, how does that work? And why is this way? And I feel like she's just so curious about things.
Yeah,
I feel like I was
you're
playing
right.
like dog and horse with Sid. Like we were like just like doing dumb
Dog and
games.
horse.
But again, like in the 90s, we didn't have, well, I guess it would have been 2000, I guess, when I was 10. But like you didn't have all the technology that you had. Like we didn't have as much technology back then that we do now. And I feel like that's
No.
totally different for kids because like we weren't
Yeah.
on iPads and like stuff like that. We were outside playing and like just doing like dumb little games that we made up that were fun and playing house and all this stuff. I feel like kids don't do that anymore. It's so
That's one
sad.
thing. That's actually a really good point. Hi, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of She's Got It Together. I'm your host, Jessica.
And I'm Samantha. Each week we peel back the curtain on what it really looks like to have it together.
From the messy moments to the milestones, we're here to share it all.
So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's dive into today's topic. All right, we're here today to talk about navigating sibling relationships. Now, I'm a twin. Jessie here is my older sister, and so we have quite a bit of experience with sibling rivalry, arguments, and we're even, now that we are parents, going to hopefully provide some tips for parents on navigating those relationships. So, Jess, what are some key components of having a strong sibling relationship?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is balance, and I think it's really hard to come by that, especially like with what we have. We've got this really big age gap between you and
8 years.
Sid. Yeah, almost 9. I mean, it's really, really big. I mean, as far as kids, like now, not so much, but with kids,
Right. Well, I
actually,
feel like
it
when
is
we were
kinda
young,
now.
yeah, I mean, we're just
We're in
in two
different
totally
life.
stages of life.
Yeah.
But it's also like not as hard now, and I feel like it wasn't necessarily for us that hard because it was fun because you were almost kind of like another mom figure because you would take us places, you had a job, so you could drive, and so you'd like buy us stuff,
Yeah.
you'd take us to the store, like we got to go do fun things.
Yeah.
But the other side of that too is like you were older and you were, off doing things with your friends and you had DJ. So like you also weren't there all the time when we were a
Yeah.
little bit older. So it's like
Yeah.
your sister's there, but she's not there all the time, but she can take you to
Right.
do fun stuff. But like, so it is it's a different dynamic for sure. And of course, like we're your little sisters, like we're going in your room and we're touching your stuff and you're like, get out of here.
And there was 2 of you, so it was
Yeah.
like double trouble. I'm like, yeah.
Right. Like,
But,
don't
I mean,
touch
when
my
you guys-
stereo.
When you guys were little, I think that was probably the most challenging part because all the attention was on
Right.
you, your babies, which
Well, and we were
rightfully
twins,
so.
so I mean, that was just
Yeah.
even a whole other thing. It's one thing to have one baby, but then everyone's like, "Oh my god, twins!" So then there's 2
Yeah.
of you, and that takes time away because there's 2.
what was interesting to me was that it didn't bother me because it was really fun. Like I was old enough to be able to help and,
Right.
change your diapers and feed you and, put you down for a nap and things like that, which is really fun for me. Luckily, because I love babies.
Right.
So
And not every
it
kid probably
didn't-
would feel that way, but it's great
Right.
that you did and you were interested in us because some kids could
Exactly.
be like the complete opposite where they're just so jealous that they're getting all this attention. They want nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
nice that
yeah,
for you it
for
wasn't
sure.
like that.
No, it wasn't. And then we also had grandma. Like grandma was
Right.
great because she would take me on little getaways, and that was one of the biggest things that I remember with her. Like those are some of the best memories I have with her is just going off on these like weekend getaways. We just get in the car and we'd drive for as long as I could handle and we would like
Right.
head up the lake shore, just go north and find a little hotel or, maybe we go to
That's
Mackinac
fun.
Island when I was bigger. But yeah, like she would always make sure that there was time for me, not not just kind of getting forgotten
Right.
within everything that's going on with you, even though it didn't bother me as much as I think everybody was worried it would.
Right. They just wanted to make sure that you felt seen in
Yeah.
everything, which is great
Yeah.
that grandma was able to kind of take you to have those
Yeah.
trips if like mom and dad couldn't get away.
Yeah. Well, and it's
She
that
was there.
balance. That's the big thing. It's that balance, which I think is really, really hard with the age gaps, because I mean, I was in, the end of elementary school. You guys were just born. It's,
Right.
then I'm going into middle school, or school. You'll head into preschool. It's,
Yeah.
oh gosh, you wouldn't even be doing preschool yet.
Well, and
You
I feel
probably
like
weren't
at
going
that
into-
age too, like you're just like going through so many things like puberty and all this
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
when you like get into like middle school and it's
Busy
like a
season
whole
for
different
me.
level, and then you've got these little babies over here that are just like, hey, pick me up,
Yeah. I need attention. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
It's like, I'm hungry, I need a diaper change, and you're just like, well, and then you're like just want alone time, I'm sure. And
Yes.
then we're like running around like getting in all your stuff and are just like, hey, play with me.
yeah.
And you're like, just leave me alone. Like, I need a minute. And we have no idea why,
I remember that when you guys were probably 5 or 6, that's when we really clashed. Like that was
Yeah,
the time
I do too.
when I was like high school, and
Yeah.
I was like done. Like the vanity had worn off of you two.
Right. It's like, okay, you're
I'm
not
like,
cool anymore.
you're just like,
you're not fun.
you're
I can't take care of
annoying.
you. Right.
Just like get out of my way.
Well, we're at that
Yeah.
age where like we want to be in everybody's business, and you're like
Yes.
older, and you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
you're so cool. Like I want to do what you do. You're in like 9th grade. Like
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
like you're in everything. I remember we'd like sneak in your room and you'd get mad, and it was just like,
Yeah.
why are you even in my room? Like, and we'd like, I know we liked your stereo. So we would like
Yes.
go in there and like want to play your cassette tapes and stuff.
Yeah, it was
And
the-
you're like,
yeah,
what are you
that big
doing in
one.
here? Get out. And we would like to play with your saxophone.
Oh my
and
gosh, that's
pretend play with
right.
your saxophone.
Oh, that's
my God,
funny.
you probably were just like, oh my God, you're so annoying. But then like there were times where you're just like, you would take us to the movies, or you would take us out to
Yeah.
eat, or you'd go to the store and like get us candy or like whatever. And it was just always so
Yeah.
fun. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, there's definitely those moments of where you're just like, you want to like kill each other, but then,
Yeah.
and we're like, she's being so mean. She won't let me do
I
this.
remember
and-
that mom having that conversation. They just want to be with you. They just
Right.
love you so much, and it's like you're so mean to them. And I'm like,
It's like, I need space.
but
But I
yes,
think
they're-
that's another good point. Like, as the older sibling, I feel like a lot of pressure gets put on you to like be a good example or to take care of your younger siblings, and like that can be a lot on a kid. And like I don't
Yeah.
think parents necessarily realize that like they're putting that pressure on them. It's like unintentional,
Yeah.
but it's like, you're the older sibling, you're supposed to show them right from wrong, you're supposed to look out for them,
Right.
you're supposed to take care of them. But also they're like, you're not supposed to be their mother either, but like you're
Right,
supposed
don't
to,
cross
like,
that line.
like there's like
You're
these
not the
boundaries, and I
mother.
feel like that can probably be hard to like navigate once you
I
get
got
to a
that
certain age.
quite a few times. I remember
Yeah.
that.
It's like, you're not their
Yes.
mother.
Yes.
But I mean, you're 8 years older, and you feel like that's the kind of role that you have at a certain point. Because,
Yeah. Once you
you
get
know.
older like that, yeah. Especially once I graduated from high school. I mean, or when I was like 19, I was. That was that.
well, you're like,
very-
I'm an
I mean,
adult, and
I had a full-time job. I think I was out of the house. I think I was living. I don't know. Was I living
it-
at my dad's upstairs?
don't know.
Yeah, I think I had the apartment upstairs or something. but
right.
yeah, it's very complicated anyways in life, and then to throw that in the mix, and I mean, gosh, at that point, you guys would come up on the weekends all the time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we had fun.
Which was fun.
We'd have,
hmm
I think
We
I
did like you do our
what did we-
hair, and
Oh, gosh,
we did
just
the
don't-
wax, like
I
the wax
remember
hand
the-
thing. Oh yeah,
We
Mom was
did.
mad. We did you pulled them through the shower cap.
Yeah,
And with my brown hair, it was just store bought hair
Bleached it.
dye. And they
It
were
was
literally like
bleached.
orange tiger stripes through my hair. And
We
I
didn't
came
let it sit
home,
on
and my
long
mom was mad because I had pictures like the next day, and I have that picture, and I literally look like like a tiger. Just
You did. And if
it's
you put
bad.
your hair back, though, you had that
And
skunk
the one
stripe down the center. Yeah.
straight down the. It was bad,
Oh,
and I have a
was
widow's
funny.
peak, so it was just double whammy on that. It was
That's
not
so
good.
funny.
But that's the thing. As an older sibling, you get to do those fun things, and they might not all turn out great. But it is fun because we went and we got to go to like
Good
your
memories.
house, and then you had Bailey the dog, and we could never have a dog because like mom was allergic and dad didn't like animals, and now I'm allergic to animals. So it's just like we could never have the dog. So then you got a dog when you moved out naturally, and then it was
first
like
thing I
so
did.
fun
Yeah.
to go over and be able to have the dog and just do fun things. It's fun.
Do you remember when you guys were younger and I still lived at home? I was a senior. Do you remember you guys always made potions in potions in the shampoo bottles or whatever, the little mini ones. And do you remember when I used the one and it changed my hair color to like that carrot orange?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember? Because my hair was red for prom.
Oh my God. Was some of the dye in there or something?
I don't know what you use. I think we figured out that you had put like that lightener, like, you know, like that sun in, or there was like
oh my God,
different color stuff underneath the sink that got mixed in it. And I had like my whole ends were all carrot orange, and I ended up with this like
you're like, see, this
red.
is why I don't like you.
I had to get a different prom dress. I had a peach prom dress, and then
I didn't know that.
I ended up with the periwinkle one because it didn't match my hair. Like it looked
oh
horrible.
my God, I did not realize this. I don't remember.
That's
this.
why
I remember making potions, but I didn't remember it like messing up your hair.
Yeah, it dyed
oh my God. So sorry about that. It made you get a whole new dress. I mean, I did like the periwinkle dress. It was very
I did too. But yes.
You're like, actually, thank you. I like that dress
yes,
better.
It's just my hair color was not quite right. But yes.
You know, I remember looking back at your picture and I was like, oh, wow, your hair was like pretty red-ish, like a reddy brown. And that's why.
It was.
Well, you're welcome. It looks great.
Yep. I actually missed, I think,
we were looking out for you.
Oh, yeah.
God.
It was pretty bad.
Gosh,
so
the things that little sisters do. Well, you know what? That was very unintentional. It was a very innocent accident.
Very innocent. Very innocent. My goodness. So, I mean, that's kind of like how we work things out. But like looking at my kids, I mean, there's a 5-year age gap.
Right.
But it's still pretty significant. And one of the things I noticed with them, I mean, right now, you know, we've got 10 and 15. And actually, Hayden pointed out to me that in our About Us, I said that she was 14.
Oh, dear.
So,
but she did have a birthday in August, so...
She's 15, so I don't have any reason for my brain, if I really did do that.
Well, but in my defense, or your defense, I guess, I thought I was 30 the last like 3 years, and I'm 33, and I kept telling people I was 30, and I don't know what it was, but I just like forgot the last 3 years that I had birthdays because I'm like, oh, I'm 30.
She skipped them.
Oh no, you're 33, Sam. So good luck with that.
Yeah. So Hayden's 15, going on 16, but those two are like oil and water most of the time. And I don't know if it's the age or if it's the personalities. I mean, they are very different. Definitely. I'm leaning more towards personalities because, I mean, you've got one that's very reserved. I feel like Taylor is Sam. She's you.
Well, I guess so. I mean, I don't know if I was like as in everyone's business and like just talking a lot. Was I?
Well, you kind of.
I feel like Taylor's much smarter than me at that age.
Well, I was very.
I feel like I was like Sid and I think we're very immature. You know, I feel like Taylor's a little bit more mature at her age at 10 than I was, but I don't really know.
Maybe,
I feel like she just has a little bit more of like an intellect that like she asks the questions that Taylor asks. You're just like very impressed by, but she like is like the question queen. And once you get her going,
She doesn't
it's
shut
like,
up.
yeah, but it's like all out of a place of like curiosity. But like as an
It is
adult, like you hit like,
logical.
yeah, you hit your limit though with that, I feel like. And you're just like, I really want to
Very quickly.
be like respectful and like answer your questions, but I've hit my limit,
But I'm
and it's like,
done. I'm
because one
done.
question like goes to another question because then she's thinking about that answer and then she's like, well, how does that work? And why is this way? And I feel like she's just so curious about things. I don't
Yeah.
really,
You're
I feel like I was
you're
playing
right.
like dog and horse with Sid. Like we were like just like doing dumb
Dog and
games.
horse.
But again, like in the 90s, we didn't have, well, I guess it would have been 2000, I guess, when I was 10. But like you didn't have all the technology that you had. Like we didn't have as much technology back then that we do now. And I feel like that's
No.
totally different for kids because like we weren't
Yeah.
on iPads and like stuff like that. We were outside playing and like just doing like dumb little games that we made up that were fun and playing house and all this stuff. I feel like kids don't do that anymore. It's so
That's
sad.
one thing. That's actually a really good point. The pretend play is just
Yeah.
very much lost now.
And that's
Because
so big
she,
in like building relationships with your siblings
yeah,
or just other kids in general. Like having that time to like work out problems within like your
that is
play
a really
is
good
it's
point.
huge. And like as me and my teacher hat going on here, that's like a huge thing as like a pre-K teacher is like the kids in your room, like you're teaching them how to like be social and work out problems and solve problems. Like this kid took my block and I need it back. Like, okay, how are you going to solve that problem? Like, what are you going to do? How can we solve this? Like you're trying to like give them prompting questions so that they can figure out how to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of there to like guide them through it. But when you're not with kids all the time or you're not, you know, in a
Electronics don't do
situation
that.
like exactly like
Like they can't.
electronics is not gonna
Yeah.
it might talk back to you but it's not gonna help you solve a problem. Like it's there's not that back and forth, and sometimes you don't solve the problem and you're both not happy, and then what? It's like with an iPad and stuff, like they don't have to worry about that. They can just like, I'm gonna close this out and restart my iPad and blah blah blah. Like it's so sad because I feel like kids just don't know how to interact because they're on so much technology now from such a young age. And then that's a huge thing about being successful and having friends and relationships is just being able to like talk and solve problems.
Huh. Yeah, that is not something that I've ever really thought about.
Well, especially if you don't have a sibling, like kids that are an only child, like the only social interaction they're going to have is with other, kids from like their family if they're around their age or like at school, and it just kind of depends on like how school is and like how social they are, if they're more outgoing or not, and if they're gonna,
Well, that was
just
me for 9 years or 8 years. Like I was super shy. Didn't.
when
I
you were
wasn't
like the
social
only
at all.
kid around for a long
Right.
time,
I was the oldest in the family
right? Yeah.
by the 8 years. I mean, so
Well,
yeah,
and
I get
it's huge
that.
interacting with kids like your own age too. And if you don't have family, like cousins or other siblings your age, like the only way you're gonna get that is at school, or if you like your parents seek out like a play group or something where you can interact with kids your own age. Because if it's so different, if they're older, they can solve the problem for you. They just do it out of habit. They're not going to necessarily like sit down and say, hey, how can we solve this problem? They're just gonna be like,
Right,
okay, fine,
right.
you can have the block, I don't want it anyway, like, or I'm just going to take it and you can cry, I don't care. Yeah,
Right,
it's
right.
just like they're going to just
Nobody
solve
gets
the
it.
problem.
Nobody gets it.
Exactly. So I feel like that's a good point. It's like you just got to have those relationships somewhere. You got to learn how to be a friend or a sibling or something.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, going back to solving sibling conflicts, like more arguments or I guess disagreements and things like that. Do you remember how mom did that with you and Sid?
Not really. I
No.
feel like, I mean, I don't really, God, I'm 33. I don't know. My brain right now is not the
Oh.
most trusty. But I don't know. I think a lot of the time,
Was it
'cause, like,
timeouts? I feel like it was like timeouts. Like
I
you
feel
guys,
like it was timeouts. Like Sid and I would fight, and like I I feel like they'd be like, just like stop fighting with your sister, or if it got bad, it was like, okay, timeout, go to your room. that kind of thing. And that's like kind of how it was back then. They didn't necessarily, and if they did this,
I love
I'm sure
going
they
to my
did.
room.
I know you did. You lived in there.
I loved my room. Just leave it
I
alone.
was just like, I have like serious FOMO. Like I hated missing out on anything. So I mean,
yes, we know
I just
this.
I would get upset if I had to like miss out on something. And I think with like mom and dad, I'm sure they sat us down and like talked things out, but I don't remember them like
Dad liked to
doing
talk. He liked
dad,
to
Dad was more of a dad
deep
thing.
conversations.
Yeah. Which is good because it's good to like talk things through, but like dad wasn't there during the day. He was working. So unless it happened like at night, like maybe then he would do it. But I feel like a lot of the time it was just like, you know, like warnings of stop arguing with your sister, or you know, if you don't stop that, we're turning this car around, or whatever. It wasn't like, okay, how are you feeling? Why are you frustrated? How can I help you? Like, I feel like it wasn't like that back then. Now it's more about having the conversation. Like, that's just kind of
that
how
wasn't
like
a thing then.
that wasn't
I mean,
a thing.
It really wasn't.
No. So I feel like it was more just like telling you to like stop fighting, and then like go in timeout if you don't, kind of deal. Like you got so many warnings. Yeah. And then now I feel like it's completely different. And I mean, some people still parent that way, and that's fine. You got to do what works for you and your family. But I feel like more often than not, people are just having more conversations and trying to like have their kids express how they're feeling and why this happened, or you know, like when they're ready to talk. Like you can't literally try to talk to a kid that's kicking and screaming and asking them like how to solve a problem. That's not going to happen. Their brain is not in a space to like solve a problem. You have to wait till they calm down. And I think for some parents, they just get mad and they're like, I don't have time for this. Go in time out. And you know what? If you need a break, fine. Like if you mentally aren't ready to like solve this conflict with your kids, like by all means, like go take a break until you're ready to come back and revisit, because no one's going to solve a problem if everyone's angry. That's like, I think a big thing is like, you have to be in the right headspace to like talk it out, even if it is 10, 15 minutes later. It's like, okay, Beck, when you threw that block and hit your brother with it, why did you do that? Like, what were you feeling? And like, what happened? And then if they were like, well, he broke my tower and I got mad, and you might not have saw that part. You just saw the kid throw the block, and then you got the backstory. But if they were screaming and crying and mad, you wouldn't have got that, you know? So I feel like people feel like if we don't deal with it at that moment, the moment's passed, right, and it's not going to get resolved, and that is the complete opposite of what will happen. Yeah, there's no teaching moment there if you're just like, stop it, if everybody's you hurt your brother. Yeah, it's like it's not a learning experience. It's not a teaching experience. You're not like showing your kid how to like talk through things and resolve problems, so that next time when they get mad, they might use their words instead of throwing the block, because you kind of taught them how, you know? Yeah. So I feel like that goes with siblings. You know, you have to do that with siblings just as much as you would as like I would as a teacher. You know, it's like it's the same thing. Yeah. But I mean, I've done something sort of like that with the girls. I mean, I've gotten to the point, it was probably 2-3 years ago now, but those two arguing back and forth constantly, I got to the point of like, this is enough. Go sit on the stairs. I put them in one of Daddy's t-shirts. They both went through, you know, both heads through the neck hole, and put them in there. They were completely fine. They didn't hurt them. And until they could calm down and stop screaming, yelling at each other, they sat there. And sometimes it took 10-20 minutes. They sat there. They had to work it out. Like they couldn't get away from each other, because that was the thing. It's either they run away from each other. Yeah. And so what was interesting, it was like once they calmed down, I got to watch them communicate with each other. Right. And that's the thing. They have to be in the right headspace to be able to talk. Like, it is. The thing is that we found, or what I found, was that if I let them go off and do what they do, you know, we're never coming back to connect, to like revisit the situation. You would almost have to go get both of them to do it. They weren't doing it on their own. And if we do it, they're not opening up anyways. They're not talking. So because you're like, there.
So doing it this way worked out well, but what I found was that Hayden, the oldest, wouldn't calm down in there. Like she went into like a full-blown panic attack, freaking out. Taylor is the one that's trying to calm her down and say, well, if you just stop, we can get out of here faster. You know, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
See, that to me is like their personality differences right there. Like Taylor is so much more like logical and is like thinking through like the problem, and she's like, if we just calm down, we can get out of here. And then Hayden's more emotional, I think, and is just like
she is
and in all the feels. Like I think Taylor's more logical, Hayden's more emotional, which are both great things. But it's interesting when they're like together how one interprets the situation and that especially like, and that's the other thing, you think like the oldest one should have it all together and they should be the one comforting the younger sibling, but it's not always that way. Like personalities are different, and sometimes it's like the younger sibling that can kind of just work out a
Taylor's
situation.
Cracking jokes, trying to get Hayden to calm down and making her funnies and just
But see,
doing
that's
what
what's
she
so
does.
good about that is they just kind of came together eventually and saw the bigger picture. I'm not mad at you anymore. I just want to help you.
It was pretty dramatic, a very drastic thing. Right. But I had seen it somewhere, and I'm like, you know what? We're just doing it.
Yeah, and I've heard of that too. I can't remember what it was. Something.
It was.
But, I mean,
it was good. So that was what we have done, and like I said, it's a version of what you said. It's revisiting it. I mean, we just didn't leave the situation. We waited until they calmed down to revisit it, and they revisited it because they're older and they needed to work through it, and they did in their own time. It was just
well. I think that brings up a good
traumatic
point. It's like how, like, as like parents, like what role do you play in like this in like, helping like your siblings solve conflicts? Like, do you let them just like figure it out? Do you assist? And I think it does depend on the age and like where, and I guess like kind of like the maturity level and like what all you've like taught them from like what age have you like have you taught them how to solve conflicts and talk it out where you feel comfortable leaving them? And I think it all just depends. Like, you have to start somewhere, and you do, as a parent, have to be there to help solve conflicts, but that doesn't mean that you solve it for them. You're, like, there to, like, guide them through the conflict and coming to a solution that they're both happy with. It might not be the solution that you thought or you think should be what happens, but you kind of have to let them, figure out what makes them both happy or okay in that moment, and then just go with it. You try not to, like, completely, like, take over. Like, no, give that back to your brother. Like, he said you took that block, like, give it back. But if you talk to him, one might have took the block from the other one and you didn't see it. You only saw part of it. And so I think that's why it's huge to kind of try to teach your kids how to talk things through so that you know what's going on and they can, like, just, like, vocalize it and help solve a problem.
Yeah, because, I mean, we've done the, give that back kind of thing. And
well, and sometimes as a parent, you're just tired and you're like, I can't. Give it back to your brother. I can't. Like, and I haven't had to deal with all this yet. Bo's 14 months. So, I mean, I have in the classroom, but not with my own kids yet.
It's crazy.
It'll
because
come.
It's like, right now, it's like makeup. So, they both have their own makeup. Taylor loves makeup. And, of course, Hayden is already wearing makeup. But it's just the back and forth. It's like, I don't know whose is whose. I'm not going to keep track on whose is whose. They can figure this out. Taylor knows she's not supposed to go and get any. I know she sneaks it. I know she does.
Yeah.
But I also know that Hayden is a little bit dramatic on situations, like when things get borrowed, because Hayden's borrowing Taylor's too. So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
So
well, and I think that's just like that's a sibling thing. That's like a girl sibling thing. You're just like, don't touch my makeup.
Figure it out. Yeah. I'm like, you yell at her 1 second, and then the next you're taking something from her. So you guys need to figure it out. That's just
well, and I think with Sid and I, like, being twins, like, we were going through everything at the same time. There wasn't an age gap where, because I feel like Taylor's kind of meeting Hayden a little bit more where she's at now, like, being interested in, like, the skincare and the makeup and the clothes. Like, because before like a year or two ago, it wasn't like that. So she wasn't necessarily interested
No.
in the same stuff Hayden was. Now they're getting to that age where they are getting interested in the
A little
same
closer,
stuff, and it can
yeah.
cause more conflict, but also bring them closer because they have some more similarities. But like with Sid and I, we were going through everything at the same time, being twins, and so we were used to sharing things, but at the same time, like we
You
weren't.
never had
'Cause
anything of your own, you know, like you
right,
gotta like
and like I remember at our birthday parties, like we would get the same thing from like people, and so they would have to give us the same gift at the same time, because if one
Yeah.
opened it before the other, then we saw what we were going to get and we knew it, because like
Yeah.
we knew we were going to get two of the same thing. Like as twins, like a lot of times you get the same thing, especially when you're younger.
different color if
And
you're
so
lucky.
I remember watching back like baby videos, and Sid and I are like trying to be the first one to like open it, because then you're looking at what the other one has as you're opening it,
That's
because you're
so
like,
funny.
what did we get? What did we get? What did I get? What did you get? Like, don't open it before me, because then I'm gonna see, because you're looking over there. Like it was like an anxiety ridden thing.
Oh,
But
that's so funny. I remember
It
that your
might be
Pocahontas
different-
birthday.
yes, that's
That's
the
the
one.
one that
That's
stands
exactly it. Yep. Because we got the same Pocahontas outfit and the doll, and
yeah.
we got all the same
one that
stuff. But I
stands
do
out.
remember, like, mom and dad a few times got us, like, because you're interested in the same things, but you're also interested in different things. And so I remember they got us, like, two different cakes because we wanted two different cakes.
I remember
so,
that, yeah.
Like, one of us got one, like, Sid was more into girly stuff. I was more of a tomboy. So, like, I didn't want all the, like, princessy stuff all the time. So we got different cakes, and they would do different plates, you know, of the theme that you wanted. So they did like
Yeah.
let us be like our
Try to
individuals,
be
because I feel like
individual,
I think that's a huge thing. It's like, as like parents or as a family, how can you like celebrate that individuality, but also like try to like
It's hard. It's not like you can
come
have two
together
different
as like
parties,
siblings,
you know,
right?
like,
You can't,
yeah,
and we're always going to
it's
share a
not.
birthday. And Sydney got married on our birthday too,
I know,
so now we
Sydney
have
got
her wedding
married.
anniversary. So it's
Oh my
like, as
gosh.
a twin, you get used to sharing things pretty easily, but at the same time, like internally, you're just like, why can't I have my own day? Why can't I have
Yeah.
my own stuff? So I feel like it's good and bad, because you always have this person that's
it
there.
Is what it is. Yeah.
You're going through things at the same time. You can talk to each other. Luckily, Sid and I were really close, because there are some twins that are like not close. They don't
Yeah.
like the, you know, being the same. Like they just don't thrive in that
That
environment.
connection.
And like,
yeah.
I think with Sid and I, we were very lucky because we got along really well. But also, like, we argued a lot too at certain ages, because, you know, you're just like,
Well, you're vocal
You know.
and loud. Sid's an instigator. Get you in trouble.
she's like a quiet and
She's
stealthy.
quiet.
Like I would
and,
be the
like,
one that got
pokes
yelled at.
the bear.
Yeah.
And then you
I'd be the
got
one that blows
loud.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the one that gets loud is the one that gets like yelled at first, because you know you're the one causing the problem. You're being loud,
Yeah.
but really it was the sneaky little one over here that just
Yep.
got me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so funny.
But I do have to say, mom and dad did a good job of like letting us be like who we are. Let us be like, I did soccer, Sid figure skated. I mean,
You did
I did that
cheer,
for a long
yeah.
time. I did cheer. I skated too, but I wasn't as in it as she was. I was for a little while, but it's nice that
lot
they
of
just kind of let us.
commitment there.
Yeah, they let us do our own thing and be our own person. They dressed us the same like when we were little, but then like, you know, when we sid older, we got to dress ourselves how we wanted. But I mean, when you have twins, it's kind of like a thing. You almost like it's a rite of passage. You have to have like the same outfit. And Sid and I liked it.
I don't
you
know
in
how
the beginning.
you wouldn't do that though. Like it's not like there's enough
know.
outfits in the world.
Well, one wears
like,
like opposite day.
You have to,
you know? Like-
yeah, you'd have to like the same outfits and just change the days. Yeah, it would
Yeah.
be. It'd be hard.
But I think
Gosh.
it was fun. And I think as we got older as siblings, like we went to college together, we roomed together, like all those
That's
kind of
nice.
scary moments that you have, like
You had a
there's
partner.
somebody with you all the time. I couldn't imagine going to college by myself. And not, like
Going
Sid and
to
I
a
went to the same
dorm
college. Like
with a
we
random
almost went to
person.
different ones. But yeah, it's like, my God, like we almost went in different dorms too. And then we're like, Because we're like, I want my own experience. I
Yikes.
want my own friends. Like, but then you're like, better not. Like, I think it'd be good if we actually had
That's
somebody
probably
there
not
that we
good.
know. It's a big change. So I do have to say, being a twin is great. It has its things, but
Yeah.
and obviously
Yeah,
we're
that's-
fraternal, so I can't speak for identical twins. I'm sure that is harder because people got Sid and I mixed up. They don't know what name goes with
Which
what
is-
kid.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't look alike, but I can understand the name thing.
Yeah.
Actually, Taylor still does that, and I don't know how Taylor still does that. She used to say, the one that's getting married, she was doing
one,
that to you.
That aunt.
That one that's getting married.
And it's like,
And
is
then
this
when-
just intentional? Are you just being a stinker right now, or
Well,
do you really not
then
know my
when
name?
you were then when you got married or were getting married, then that didn't work anymore because then it was
Right.
like, well, which one?
Yeah, which one
Yeah.
is
Which
getting
one are you
married?
talking about?
Which aunt? It's like, it's not like I
Oh
don't
my
see
gosh.
you. Okay.
Oh my gosh, she's so dramatic, but yeah. Yep. I think that covers a good amount about siblings and all of the
Yeah.
moving
The
parts.
good, the bad, the ugly. Of siblings.
I think it's mostly good. I think it's just
Yeah,
a challenge. Lots of
I
challenges.
think the three of us too, like, 8-year gap and everything. I think we had a really close relationship through everything, which is
Yeah,
really nice
just-
because I don't think you could say that for everybody that has such a big age gap, So,
No, and
It's-
we
it's
were
good.
not even in the same town anymore. So
well, right. I mean, gosh, we weren't in the
That's
same
another
house.
thing.
Then we weren't in the same town. And so, like, there's definitely been, like, growing moments of, like, where it was harder and where it was easier. But it's nice that, we had a good foundation, a good sibling foundation.
yes, gosh, because you guys left for Grand Rapids when Taylor was born, right?
Yeah. Because we were
Right
there
after
all through,
Taylor was
like,
born.
Hayden. Yeah, because she was born in
Sydney
July. and I think
babysat
we left.
Hayden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we moved to Grand Rapids in 2013 or 14. 13, yeah.
Would have
Right,
been
yeah.
13.
Like October of 13 we moved to Grand Rapids. So yeah, which was hard for us too because I remember like we were so used to being around and being able to see Hayden all the time and then like you
Yeah.
had Taylor and like cuz we were over all the time and then we're like
Mm-hmm.
wait, we can't just like go over to the house and see the babies anymore, and like so I know that was like hard for us cuz we're just like then we felt like every time we were home, like we have to see everybody, and then
Yeah,
it's like, how do we
that's
see
always
everybody?
hard.
And
Make
that's
the
so hard.
rounds.
I remember going like through that with college, like a lot of times, like you're just like, how do I see everyone when I'm home? Because like you're usually home for something. You only have so much
Right.
time, and then like if you don't see somebody, it's just like blasphemy, and you're
Yeah,
just like, I'm
yeah.
just trying to make it through life, okay? Like it's just so hard, but it's definitely. I feel like as life goes on and you grow up, you can either grow apart or you just kind of come together and you just kind of figure out how to spend time together. And we just chose to work together now, so
Yeah, that works. I
works
remember
out.
sending you the box of random things to your apartment right after you moved. And I think I wrapped each
Oh, yeah.
one with a little
Yep.
note of like what it was to remind you of or what it was for.
Yep. I know, that was super cute. Well, that was the thing. Like Jesse's super creative and does a lot of like fun things. So that was fun. I remember that as like us growing up, you did all these like little cool fun things for us. Also gave me
Oh,
wedgies,
crazy
which I
things.
didn't appreciate, but
Oh yeah, that's funny. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
or you'd like
Uh-oh.
put the pillow over my face and be like,
Yeah.
"Yep, try to breathe."
That's just a sister thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And on that note,
Yeah.
go
on
hug
that
your
note.
sibling.
Right. Big hugs. Hey, speaking of hugs, you know what?
Hmm.
Before we go,
Sure.
we were not a hugging family.
No, we weren't. And that's probably why I don't like being touched.
No,
I
that was
smother
funny.
Bo.
It's something
I
I,
literally
thought
smother
about.
Yeah, we weren't a very like touchy-feely,
We
like
didn't
huggy
grow
family.
up with like the I love yous or the like. I mean, it wasn't that we didn't. It was just that we didn't do
it wasn't
that. We
an
never grew up
everyday
that.
thing.
We
Well,
started
and
that.
after
like- A
I
figure
remember
skating group thing.
well, I remember it happening after a family friend passed away, and then they just were like, "Oh my God, like we really need to be like saying I love you more and
More
like
intentional about it.
just be more intentional about it." And so I remember that for me was like a turning point where we just were more intentional about like saying I love you before we left and giving like hugs and stuff like that. Because it's not like we didn't
always
get
did for
hugged as
grandma.
children, right? But
Right.
it's like we did. It just
Always hug
wasn't like
grandma.
a it wasn't like, oh hey, I'm like running out to school, like I love you, give me a hug, bye. Like it wasn't
Right.
like that. It was like, okay, bye. You know?
Yeah.
So I think we got more intentional with it. And like now, gosh, we say like I love you every time like we leave when we go visit mom and dad or they leave.
Yeah,
We, like
there's
give hugs,
always
say I love
hugs.
you. Like there's always hugs and I love yous now. But like it wasn't like that up until like high school-ish age where and I mean, I'm
'cause,
sure when we
like,
were little and we don't remember, there was lots of I love yous and hugs. I do remember that. But it's like that in between age, when like you're a teenager and like we don't want you to like hug me and tell you me I love you and all
It
this
was
stuff.
just a
like,
weird thing because DJ's family always did it. I remember getting in trouble with his grandma all the time
'Cause
I
you didn't?
I didn't do it fast enough. Like because they always hugged. I mean, like when they came in and when they left, and I was very uncomfortable, I guess, with it because we didn't.
Well,
do
that's
that.
the thing
It was just a
too.
weird
Is like
thing.
I'm never gonna make Bo like go hug someone if he doesn't want to. Like I'm
It's
not gonna
just-
be like go hug them and give him a kiss right now. I'm not gonna make him do that because like he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to. And like you also want him to like know that like you can say no to adults like in certain situations like with like physical intimacy and all that. Like it's like he can say no if he doesn't want a hug. He doesn't have to give you one. And I feel like our age was like no, you go give your aunt a hug
Yeah.
and say goodbye right now. And like I mean, you can do whatever you want, but like, I'm not going to go make him hug someone, if he doesn't want to. But it's like, I notice with Bo, and of course he's a baby, and like, you just like can't stop hugging and kissing babies. But like, I feel like I'm more affectionate towards him, or at least I would like to be.
Well,
Because that's
babies
something
I
that
feel
we
like
didn't
are
always
different.
have. Yeah. Oh, for sure. I'm thinking
Everybody's
older.
always, yeah. But yeah, it was just a random thing I thought about. That's something that we just didn't do when we were kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like
It wasn't-
I feel like a lot of families are like that. A lot of families are very affectionate and like will cuddle on the couch and watch a movie together and
like,
stuff
I
like
don't
that.
like to be touched either, and that's something that
No.
I'm
Mom doesn't
struggling with
either.
right now. With
Yeah.
like Hayden, like Taylor, Taylor's a hugger. Like she'll just come up randomly
Yeah.
and like I need a hug. Like okay, I love you, but I just don't want to be touched right now.
Yeah.
Hayden's been doing that too, and she's been getting mad at me because I'm like, I just don't,
Yeah.
just not right now. Just
And I almost feel like it's like almost like a moment where you have to be like, I am someone where I need a little bit more space. So if I'm having one of those moments, just like, please respect my boundary. But it's like, I remember one of my like figure skating friends was very like touchy feely. Like she always wanted to give hugs. Like she was such like a kind, loving friend, and she would just always want to give me a hug and hold my hand and stuff like that and sit
I'm
really
like,
close
ugh.
to me. And I remember I had to talk to mom because I was like, so and so is just like on me all the time, and she's like, I love her to death, but I don't want her hugging me all the time and holding my hand and sitting so close to me because like I just like don't want to be touched. And so then I remember like we had to talk to her mom and stuff
Oh
because
my
it
gosh.
was like, she loves her, but she's just like a little bit too much on her, and Sam's just a little uncomfortable. And so I remember like I wasn't necessarily uncomfortable. I just didn't want to be touched, Like, I'm like,
Yeah,
I love
it's
you. I'll
just-
give you a hug. You're my friend. Like, I'll give you a hug, but, like, don't hang all over me, And so I remember that I had to, like, talk to mom, and then I guess she talked to her mom, and it was fine. But I'm just like, and they were that family was a very loving, like I love you, expressed their emotions a lot, like gave lots of hugs and stuff like that. And we just weren't a family that did that. So it was like the two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And like they don't think anything's wrong, and they're just trying to show you how much they love you as a friend, and then you're just like, I'm uncomfortable. But that's just the thing. Like people are different, you know, and it's all you know, it's all good, but you have to like find out like those boundaries. And as like a young kid who's like 10, you're not necessarily thinking about like boundaries and like can you just like and like know how to express like I love you, but can you not touch me so much?
Just don't touch me.
You know, just don't touch me.
Don't touch me.
But
that is funny though. I mean, it is there's a very fine line there. Like, just, and it can really rub people the wrong way.
Yeah, it can. Well, and then gosh, you know me, like I hate being bumped or anything. So it's just like the fact that someone's just trying to hug me all the time. I'm like, ugh.
I don't think I'm quite as bad as you, but yes, I get it 100%. Yeah. But yeah, and it is something. It's just, I don't know. I like my space.
Well, and I'm like, is this like a, you know, whatever you want to call it, like a chain, like, you know, mom was like that, I'm like that, you're like that, Sid's like that, but not as bad as me. And I'm like, I just kind of want to like break the chain. And like with Bo, like I want to be, I'm okay being affectionate with Bo, like now, obviously he's a baby, and like I want to hug my kids all the time, but like it's like I kind of like, I don't know. I just want to be more open, I guess, to that, like with our family, like saying I love you more and giving hugs more, and that just being like something that you do because, you know, it's important to like be able to express your feelings and stuff like that, but also like have boundaries if you need them.
It's just not something we're completely accustomed to, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing, like you don't know. All families are
guess.
different. Yeah, and so that's one thing, like when you do have, you know, other friends and stuff like that, it's like you kind of have to feel people out, because I've had friends that are definitely more affectionate and like express their feelings more and stuff like that, and then I was just kind of like, ew, wow, we're getting real quick, you know. But I think it just depends on how you grew up, or just like your personality. Like some people probably have families that are so affectionate and open, but they just like were not like that and didn't want to do it. So it's definitely an individual thing too. But anywho.
Yeah. All right. I guess that was our last rabbit hole.
We like to go down rabbit holes.
We really do. We really do. All right. Well, that does it for this episode this week. Hopefully you got some good information out of it. We didn't take too many deviations off of our topic, but I think we got our point across pretty well. So
yes,
hopefully you will join us next week, and we will see you then. Thanks for joining us today on She's Got It Together. It's been a real journey sharing and laughing with you all.
We hope you're walking away with a smile on your face and a bit more confidence in your step.
Remember, you're not alone in this crazy ride called life. We're all in this together, one day at a time.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and of course, share this podcast with all the incredible women in your life.
Join us next week for more stories, more laughs, and more real talk.
Until then, keep embracing your unique journey, and remember, you've got it together more than you think.